Greetings, my brothers and sisters. I am so happy and delighted to continue this segment on bridges. I am still aware that we're drinking water from wells that we did not dig, we're living in houses that we did not build, and we're eating fruit from vineyards that we did not plant. Somebody, really a whole lot of bodies, have helped us along the way. Today, I want to recognize two bridges. The Reverend Dr. W.B. Lewis, former pastor of the First Cosmopolitan Baptist Church. We talk a lot about Rockingham, but what about Raleigh? How did I make it to Raleigh and the Halifax, now Mount Peace Baptist Church? I was a student at Shaw, as you know, and my pastor, the late Reverend R.T. Gilchrist, told me to go by several churches, and one was First Cosmopolitan, and tell him that he sent me. Well, I talked with Dr. Lewis. I felt right at home at First Cosmopolitan, and he told me about a little church on Blunt Street who was in need and in search of a pastor. He said, "You go down and tell them that I sent you." Well, the rest is history. I went down, and look, 40 years later, we're still celebrating the fact that the Lord has blessed us. I honor his memory even today because many of the things at First Cosmopolitan, I really copied. That's the best word I can come up with. I wanted to be like him, Dr. W.B. Lewis. He had a daycare. I wanted a daycare. He built the church and relocated the church. I wanted to do the same thing. Isn't it amazing how God uses ordinary people to do extraordinary things? Thank you for wonderful leadership. Thank you for a wonderful ministry. Thank you, Dr. W.B. Lewis. And the second person on this journey is the late Reverend J.H. Ferguson. Now let's go back to Rockingham. Dr. Ferguson pastored two churches at the same time. For 28 years, he pastored the Poplar Springs Baptist Church in Rockingham and the Elizabeth Baptist Church in Monroe. When I was a teenage preacher, he needed someone to run the Poplar Springs service until he made it from Monroe. That service started at 12 noon, and I learned quickly that if I worshiped there, if I started on time on fourth Sundays, if I had a good message or a message I thought was good, I could preach. If I started on time, didn't pray too long, didn't read a long scripture. Thank you, Dr. Ferguson, for helping me. Dr. Ferguson was the moderator of the PD Association. He was my moderator. He was one of the preaching preachers in our county. I think he and Dr. J.J. Coverton preached more revivals than anybody I knew. I know there's only 52 weeks in a year, but I think he had 65 revivals. That was a preaching somebody. Thank you, Dr. Ferguson, for your leadership. Thank you, Dr. Ferguson, for your time with this young fella. I'm wearing a suit today because I knew that I would talk about Dr. Ferguson. I stayed with him in the summer when I did revival in Monroe, and I wanted to put on jeans when we were ready to go to lunch, but he made me wear a suit because he knew that a suit was the right attire for a preacher. So I'm wearing a suit today, honoring the memory of Dr. J.H. Ferguson. Thank you that because you are, I am. God bless you.